10 real serial killers who never existed. Welcome back to Creepshow, your go-to channel for the strange, the eerie, and the downright disturbing. Today, we're diving into the world of real serial killers, or so people thought. That's right, we're counting down the 10 serial killers who terrified communities but turned out to be nothing more than urban legends, hoaxes, or figments of someone's twisted imagination. From the sinister red spider to the mysterious Phantom of Heilbronn, get ready for a journey into the minds of killers who never existed. But before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a deep dive into the dark side of history. Now, let's get into it. Number 10. Lucian Staniak. Polish killer Lucian Staniak was known as the Red Spider. Several women were murdered between 1964 and 1967. He sent messages in his own blood after each murder, mocking the police for failing to catch him. It was quite courteous of him to leave a clean pair of fingerprints on a bottle at the scene of an 18-year-old student's rape and murder. Staniak was arrested and said he killed to avenge his parents and sister who were killed in a vehicle accident because their killers were never punished. He confessed to killing 20 women and was condemned to death, but commuted to life in an insane institute. It turns out that everything is garbage. There was no Staniak, no murders, and no prosecution. True crime writer Colin Wilson, who authored the first account of the Red Spider's career, may have invented Mr. Staniak. This narrative was largely considered as true until academics working on a biography of the Red Spider and his atrocities discovered that he never existed. Number 9. Sweeney Todd. Sweeney Todd's authenticity has long been debated. The demon barber of Fleet Street allegedly slashed his customers' necks with a razor and gave their bodies to his girlfriend, Mrs. Lovett, to make pies. Todd, born in 1756, gained his skills in Newgate Prison for petty thievery. After disposing of his first victim, a man he had clashed with, Todd is said to have invented his trick chair, which he employed on wealthy customers who came alone to his shop. Todd hacked their throats and stripped the meat from their bones to make pie filling after kicking the lever, which sent the chair through a trap door to the cellar. Sweeney Todd and Mrs. Lovett were imprisoned after a number of missing sailors needed shaves suspiciously appeared. Just before her suicide, Mrs. Lovett confessed. Todd was tried in 1801 for murdering a sailor on his way to deliver a very long string of 16,000 pearls to a pawnbroker. The sailor stopped at Sweeney Todd's for a haircut and shave on the way. Todd may have been the most prolific killer because investigators found 160 other people's items when they searched. All of this sounds exciting, but it's unproven. Barbers were sometimes surgeons and grave robbers, therefore they had a bad reputation. Tooth extractions, bloodletting, and strangely, enemas were possible. Sweeney Todd's 1802 arrest, trial, and hanging are undocumented. Another barber has never been reported to have killed multiple people. No newspaper archives mention missing sailors or strange-tasting pies. It makes a good musical, though. Number 8. The Phantom of Heilbronn. Germany announced a 300,000 euro reward for the capture of the woman without a face in 2009, who had left DNA at homicides and significant crime sites for over 15 years, including the Heilbronn police officer murder. The Heilbronn murder investigators were astonished to find DNA at the site that matched dozens of other instances. The Phantom of Heilbronn, unknown, committed murder, burglary, and vehicle theft across Europe. Her crime spree continued. 3 bodies were pulled from a Frankfurt river. 2 men were convicted of the murder. However, the automobile contained ghost DNA. If the men knew her, they didn't say. First sample from serial killer taken from teacup rim of a woman strangled with wire. DNA was found on a bullet from another pistol. Cars used syringes and murder weapons contained it. Despite mounting evidence, police were stumped. They conducted a massive quest for the deadly woman. Late in 2009, they arrested their suspect and discovered that the Phantom of Heilbronn was an innocent woman working in their DNA testing kit manufacturing. Number 7. Halifax Slasher. The Halifax Slasher, a knife-wielding maniac, assaulted 2 mill workers in Halifax, England in 1938. Over the next 9 days, the slasher targeted more women. Vigilante organizations patrolled the streets to defend their women and beat suspicious people. Scotland Yard arrested the criminal before the lynch mobs killed someone. They interviewed victims who revealed that most of their wounds were self-inflicted. The Halifax events appeared to be widespread panic. What about the first 2 victims? They described the slasher down to his colorful shoe buckles. They had head wounds leaking blood. Surely their stories were true. No, they apparently made it up. Number 6. The Mad Gasser of Mattoon. The Mad Gasser of Mattoon attacked victims strangely. Most serial killers kill over years. He killed 34 in 2 weeks in 1944. Most serial killers like watching their victims die. He attacked at a distance. Killers usually use guns, knives, or blunt things. Mad Gasser favored the basic home oven, as his moniker implies. Some Mattoon, Illinois victims were paralyzed, while others were ill. Luckily, no one died. No gas was found in the houses, and no signs existed. Even yet, media reported on Mad Gassers and their victims' symptoms in vivid detail. The Gasser attacked several victims over the next 3 days, usually newspaper readers. Police found no evidence of gas elsewhere. They found a woman who returned home to find a piece of fabric on her doorstep, which burned her throat when she inhaled it. She discovered a lipstick stick and skeleton key. Investigators examined the cloth, convinced that the Gasser was interrupted mid-attack, but found no harmful substance. Lipstick and a regular key were found. Nothing seems to motivate the attacks. There had been no assaults or house robberies. Police found that there were no attacks and that public panic caused by inflammatory reporting of the first case caused the atrocities. The police also claimed that chemical fumes from the plant next door may have caused the first poisoning. Number 5. Thomas Quick. Once Sweden's most known serial killer, Thomas Quick confessed to almost 30 killings, but was convicted of only 8. He accused himself of torturing, raping, killing, and eating victims, including a 9-year-old girl. He was convicted on his confessions alone, without evidence, despite obvious anomalies, including his semen not matching one of his victims' bodies. He confessed to everything to assist police solve cold cases. He often distorted details, saying one victim was blonde when she was dark-haired, and forgetting where he abducted her. Quick admitted to killing a 14-year-old child in 1964, but witnesses put him 400 kilometers, 250 miles away, getting his first communion. No murder weapon, DNA, or eyewitnesses were found. Quick listed 24 locations where he had killed, dismembered, or buried bodies, but no DNA was found. All his confessions were lies. Benzodiazepines may have clouded his judgment during all police interviews. Only after his medical team changed and his medication was lessened did Quick stop confessing to killings. He was released after being acquitted of all 8 murders. Quick, now Stuart Bergwall, has always had mental issues and was in an institution when he confessed to his first crime. This didn't alert the police. Number 4. Joe Scafe. Scafe is not a serial killer. In truth, Joe Scafe is non-existent. Professor T. Mills Kelly and his George Mason University students constructed him to test their beliefs from their history course, Lying About the Past, which analyzed historical records dependably. Students discovered 4 New York women slain between 1895 and 1897 using newspaper archives. Fact-based Wikipedia entries were constructed for the victims. They then manufactured a trunk-finding narrative to implicate an old relative, Joe Scafe, as the serial killer. After the gruesome find was reported online, visitors began linking the trunks to Wikipedia. The internet appeared to have nabbed a killer. Since all Wikipedia pages were generated at once, the fraud was found quickly. Nice try. Number 3. Henry Lee Lucas. Henry Lee Lucas is guilty of 11 killings and may have been a serial murderer. He confessed to 600 to 3,000 killings, depending on the story, some of which he couldn't have performed. No one will ever know how many people he killed. He was executed for killing an unidentified Texas woman in 1979, despite his work records and a cashed paycheck showing he was in Florida at the time of her death. Lucas confessed to her murder without witnesses or tangible evidence. So weak was the evidence against him that even the Texas governor was concerned. Lucas was commuted to life in prison by George W. Bush, who oversaw 152 executions while governor. Governor Bush commuted Lucas's sentence only. Henry Lee Lucas was brutal anyway. After bashing his mother to death, he served 15 years. He blamed tranquilizers and police lunches for his multiple confessions. He died of a heart attack in prison in 2001. Number 2. Wearside Jack. From 1975 to 1980, the Yorkshire Ripper viciously murdered 13 women. The police investigated the murders in Yorkshire, where most of them occurred, and tried to identify the killer. They received a letter from the perpetrator in 1978 that they claimed revealed his mind. 2 more letters, and finally a tape of the Ripper speaking directly to George Oldfield, the senior investigator. The tape mocked the officer for not capturing him. "George, I admire you, but Lord, since I started 4 years ago, you are no closer to catching me. George, your boys are failing you." The police had a good lead. In fact, the Yorkshire Ripper was from Wearside, northeast England. Dialect experts narrowed the search area by analyzing the accent. After changing their search focus, the investigators interrogated thousands of local men without success. After all, Peter Sutcliffe had a Yorkshire accent when the Ripper was apprehended. Wearside Jack was a hoaxer who severely disrupted the investigation. Most alarmingly, Peter Sutcliffe was examined by police, but released since his accent did not match the taped man, and he killed again. The identity of Wearside Jack was unknown until 2006, when jobless drinker John Humble, unrelated to the Yorkshire Ripper, revealed creating the tape as a hoax. His prison term was 8 years. Number 1. Andrew Scott Haley. Andrew Scott Haley posted a video in 2009, stated he had killed 16 people and asking viewers to find the bodies. He promised to reveal his true identity if they solved the problem, which appears like a playful murder mystery game. But Haley used the information, but not the names, of real murder victims, leading authorities to suspect he was the culprit. Chasing the Catch Me Killer, as he was known online, took hundreds of hours. Haley was captured as a computer hacker with a questionable sense of humor, not a murderer. Despite not naming the persons he claimed to have slain or telling the authorities, he was charged with making false allegations. Haley received 2 years on work release. his lawyers appealed the conviction for free speech. Thanks for joining me on this chilling look at serial killers who turned out to be nothing more than fiction or elaborate hoaxes. It's fascinating how stories like these can take on a life of their own, capturing the public's imagination and even leading to full-blown investigations. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and let me know in the comments which story creeped you out the most. Or if you have other urban legends you'd like to see covered. And don't forget to subscribe to Creepshow for more content that explores the mysteries lurking just beneath the surface. Stay curious, stay cautious, and until next time, keep the lights on.